Okay, lesson 37. We've come a long way and we've talked a lot about the life lessons I've learned. Lately, it's really been around the unfairness. We've talked about, being comfortable with offending people and also just to not complain so much, right? In as much as life is generally unfair. You have to play the cards that you are dealt. So, one of the key lessons that I also learned, and this one was in my 20s, and I was about 27. And I remember because I had just come out of, yeah, a period where I was just disagreeing with everyone, involving myself in things that I should not be involving, fighting with people, not physically, but just, getting into altercations and disagreements with people, and I was just going crazy at that time. And I read a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. I can't remember the author, but that book changed my life because up to that point I feel like in certain situations I was very reactive, instead of responding, and involving myself in things that I shouldn't be involved in. And little things, like small things, were just making me tick and triggering me and changing my mood and even angering me at that point, like just I would just go red at the slightest of provocations at that point. And one of the most important lessons I learned from this book was to ask yourself, like at those points when you are getting triggered or getting annoyed with people or things or tasks, there's a question to ask yourself: is this thing going to matter a year from now? And that really sobered me up, right? Because the fact is, I was getting my knickers in a knot over the smallest of things. And really, when I did my assessment of all these things that were driving me mad, that I was angry about, that I was getting upset about, when I looked at it and I looked at, those things, having written them down, those things were so inconsequential. They were not even going to matter 6 months from that point, let alone a year. I mean, some of them within a few weeks, even a few days, they wouldn't even matter. And I think what that brought home is that sometimes we get ourselves so hot and bothered, right? We get ourselves so worked up over things that don't really matter. And it gave me the lesson that in as much as in the moment you can think that something is so grave, it's so deep, at the end of the day, when you look at it and assess it, it really isn't. It isn't that deep. Okay. And so the skill that I learned here was to not, number one, overreact. Number two, in certain instances, I shouldn't even react, right? And it's a skill to learn in terms of knowing when to be unbothered. It's something that you have to train yourself. Because as a person who wants to be even tempered, there's a lot that comes at you in life that comes from the external environment. It's going to be other people, things that are happening in the world, the things that you are watching in the news, problems and stories that people are bringing to you, even rumors. They'll tell you things through gossip, those kind of things. And if you're the person that's consistently taking on that baggage and getting worked up over things, number one, that are not within your control, number two, that have nothing to do with you, and number three, that you can actually think about how you need to respond to these things instead of just reacting to them. you realize that you expend a lot of energy and you also waste a lot of energy, which translates into time um, on things that are meaningless, that are not going to take you forward and move you forward in life. And so, what I've learned is that to have sustainable success in life, you need to learn the skill of being unmoved. Okay? And not, I'm not saying be uncaring, be unempathetic, but it's the skill of being unmoved. What does it mean? It means that when things are happening around you, to remain centered, to keep your poise, to not let externalities and the things that are happening around you and externally change your energetic vibe. Okay? Because once that happens, then you get sucked into whatever that thing is, and it changes basically your vibe, your energy. You literally become that. Okay? So somebody can come with their low vibration, whatever it's gossip or whatever the case may be. The skill of unbothered said, yes, you can still be present and listen, okay? But don't let it affect you. Don't let it change your temperament, okay? And it's also about not learning not to react to everything. And this is quite important in the era that we are living in, because what I've observed is, even with social media is a place that draws you into being triggered, that draws you into being reactive, right? Instead of thinking about how you're going to respond, or thinking for meaning in terms of, oh, okay, what I'm reading here, what I'm watching in terms of a video, is it something that's important to me? Does it affect me in any way? Do I even need to respond to it, or do I just need to let it go? And so what you find on social media is that even the act of liking is a reaction. When you love a post, you are reacting to it. So it's promoting the behavior of reacting, and just reacting to things without even responding and kind of thinking about whether you even like this post. Does it mean something to you? And when you learn to be unbothered, to be unmoved, it prevents you being sucked in things where you don't belong. Okay, and it's a place of power, because also being unbothered means learning how to be silent sometimes in moments where people are provoking you or trying to get a certain reaction out of you, so that they sabotage you. So when you learn how to be centered and be unmoved, you don't quickly step into those spaces where people can sabotage you or put you in a place where you don't want to be. Because sometimes when you react, you'll find yourself that you go red, you don't even realize what you've done or what you've said. And in that moment, you have broken a relationship, you have even hurt somebody physically, right? Because you were so angry that you went red and your hands were flying, you put hands on people, and the next thing, people kind of like get you arrested for things like assault and things like that. So learn to be unmoved and keep yourself centered at all times, and really recognize moments for what they are, and assess whether whatever is happening in the moment, the provocation or whatever it is it going to matter in a year's time, a week's time, 6 months' time? And if it doesn't, it's not that deep. Don't sweat the small stuff.